everybody, and thank you for joining us on this wonderful Tuesday or whatever day you are listening to us. It is our favorites. And in case you are new here, we like to talk about a director, a genre, an actor, any sort of category of movies, and we talk about our favorite in that categories. And today it's another good day. It's always a good day when we get to talk about our favorites and all of that good stuff. But today, I like these directors. I know we all like these directors. Nodding me on. Let's go with this, baby. Coen brothers.
Yeah, what are their names?
Joel and Ethan.
There you go.
I know their names.
Okay.
Come on.
It's Coen, right?
Yeah.
C-O, yeah, it's not C-O-H-E-N.
That's I knew someone that was a Cohen.
Well, that's the Leonard Cohen is the guy that did the one song.
The one song, yes.
Yeah. Anyway.
I mean, yes. He did the Book of Longing, too. Great book of poetry.
The whole reason Bill Murray signed on to 2 Garfield movies is because he thought it was a Coen brother.
Wait. I know it's whoa. You gotta hold on.
Yeah, so Garfield. I gotta look at it's like Garfield. One of the writers for Garfield. Just a second.
That's
has the last name Coen. Okay.
Oh
so
my god.
From what I'm going to do it right now. It's written by Alex Sicolo and Joel Coen.
Joel Coen, or
no,
okay.
It has an H. So he signed.
Bill Murray fell for the H.
From what I have heard, he signed on a 2-picture deal because he thought it was the other Joel.
Which you mentioned that. Can we petition for a Coen Brothers Garfield movie? I would watch
I'm not sure I want that.
I would watch that.
Well, one of them retired.
Oh, that's
you know that, right? Because then the other one then did Tragedy of that Scottish play.
Macbeth, yeah. Am I not allowed? Oh my god, I said it!
You can actually say it. We're not in a theater.
Right, okay, that's good.
I just wanted to say it.
I forgot, as soon as I was like, wait a second. I know the whole thing. Anyway.
Yeah,
let's get into this because the Coen Brothers have a lot of movies.
They're all so unique, too.
They are unique, but after watching them, like, I literally watched it back to back to back. Like,
the similarities are there.
Yeah.
Yeah. The similarities with each uniqueness. It's so interesting. But let's get into this. Jake has we all have great picks. But lead us away. What is your fantastic pick?
My favorite wow.
Your favorite fan.
My favorite fantastic pick. I love Westerns. I really do.
Me too.
Mm-hmm. I love Jeff Bridges. I really do.
You like Jeff Bridges?
I love J.K. Simmons, which, yes, he is in this. My pick that is his voice.
I knew it.
My pick is True Grit. Now,
yeah.
The thing about True Grit, I am willing to look past a lot of its flaws. Oh, I also love Josh Brolin.
Oh my god, he's
and Matt,
so good.
No.
Wait,
I mean, he's fine, except for when.
Great.
Did you just say Haley's fine?
No.
Oh.
Well, I mean,
Haley Steinfeld stole the show for me.
So. Okay, I'll get into that in a second, but I want to talk about the reason why I'm willing to look past a lot of this movie's pitfalls for one very specific reason. It has a lot to do with this.
No.
That's the thing. Have either of you seen the original?
No.
Yes. It's boring.
Glenn Campbell's beef is not very good. I like Glenn Campbell. He's really stiff in that original, except for the line, "I ain't dead yet, you bushwhacker." And then what does he promptly do 2 shots later? He conks out literally right after saying, "I ain't dead yet, you bushwhacker."
Regardless, the reason that I hold this movie really close to my heart is one of the last 2 movies, I believe, that I saw on actual film in the theater.
That's really
that lines up, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. What theater did you watch it in first?
Star Gratiot.
Nice.
The other one being Scott Pilgrim.
Nice.
I saw that on film.
Same year, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, and like, actually, I wrote down some thoughts while I was watching this. Like, I took notes, guys.
Wow.
But
look at me go.
I mean, it's just so good.
Because really, well, you said film and brought up something that I wrote down. There's that sequence that's like I don't know how long it actually is. It's maybe like 30 seconds or a minute. But where it's just fade over fade over fade of like them traveling and walking.
Oh,
like,
you mean the very end?
Was that close to it was kind of close to the end.
Are you talking about when he's carrying her back to...
No, it was before that. Like it's like they were walking. It's like they're first just trying to get out there and they're just tracking. And they just use fade over fade over fade. Just imagine trying to cut that with film would be such a pain in the butt. Oh my God.
Did they edit
How
this? Let's see.
Oh, they might have not even edited it with film though.
No, I'm just wondering if they edited it. It doesn't even tell me on here.
But this is 2010.
But they like to edit their movies under the name Roderick James.
Wait, so
Roderick James is fictional. The two Coen brothers will edit their movies under that name. But I don't know if they actually edited this one. I know they
so
edited
many interesting facts that I never knew. Because like I was just thinking like
I did not remember that was Haley Steinfeld.
Dude, I forgot until I watched it. I'm like, whoa, this is young Haley.
One of the primary reasons I have always heard for people not liking the movie is how stiff she is in the movie. What? Watching it this time, I don't know. People don't like her. I'm like,
she got nominated.
What are you talking about?
That's another thing.
It might just be
way better.
The people I talk about.
That's another thing.
It might just be the people I talk to.
It's like you mentioned that she got nominated. I thought she won for this.
No,
I didn't realize that she was just nominated because she is.
I don't know what I'm trying to think.
She is so freaking good in this. Her and Jeff Bridges, their chemistry is unbelievable.
Going back to the filmmaking side, but how about that? The fade in on the first shot with just the lanterns and the flickering and just the slow. I was wondering, like I was watching it this time and I was like, okay, I always wondered. I'm not 100% sure that what I was watching was film because there was all sorts of like imperfections and stuff like that. And like I wondered if they just baked it in digitally to make it feel like that. And I was watching that and I was like, maybe they did. And then the Blu-ray kicked in and I was like, oh, no. It was film.
Yeah. And you like, it's one of those things where like, I know with the majority of more modern movies, it's really hard to tell the difference. Like you can really mess around and post with your camera settings. You can make it look a lot like film, but there's something about like this era of movies. Like this came out 2010? Yeah, you said we just said 2010. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like 2000 to 2010, like you can just feel when they used, especially for Coen movies. Like we'll get to in our picks as well. Just like I feel like they have such a distinct look when they shoot on film and when they have Deakins helping light it. Like those two things, like you can feel like it probably wasn't even that much money, but it feels like they spent like a lot of money. When you know they're probably just out there with just a camera in the woods, a couple of bounce boards, and they just went for it. Like I feel like
budget was in the 30s, 30 million, 35 to 38.
That's insane. Like that's.
I mean, they had a lot of big names in it.
Yeah, they probably spent most of their money on getting the actors. I mean,
Jeff Bridges is a Brewster Cogburn. I mean,
it's just it makes me so happy. Like, and not gonna lie, I had to watch this with subtitles. Like,
I always watch with subtitles.
Like, I feel like him speaking is it's maybe like just like you could. If you're really paying attention, you can make out what he's saying. But if you're like, oh no, you're just fiddling around and watching it, you need those subtitles.
Funny story. I watched a movie with you on my PS5 a while ago, right? I don't know what it was. I'm sure we watched a movie or something. I can't figure out how to turn the subtitles off.
Oh no!
So it's just there all the time now.
You know, I've honestly, this is completely off topic.
Is that what it was?
Probably.
It's completely off topic, but I'm more and more, like, maybe it's just my old age and I just can't focus. I like subtitles.
But, yeah.
Like, it's just, they make it.
Yeah,
I know you say you watch it with them all the time.
I always have. Like, ever since I figured it out as a kid, I just turn them on. Mm-hmm. I catch it.
It helps you understand the movie better.
Yep. And yet, you have people who hate them and complain about them all the time, like big babies.
What's really interesting is when they go to a movie in a different language and they complain about the subtitles being on the screen.
It's like, what do you want? So how can you win?
When I went to see Demon Slayer, I saw it in Japanese, and there were only 2 other people in the theater with me, and they were little kids, and I was like, I wonder if they know
How to read.
that it was in Japanese, because they did walk out when it started.
I looked very confused. Yeah. But anyway.
Back to True Grit.
True Grit.
Yeah, Jeff Bridges, Haley Steinfeld, even Matt Damon. Like, I enjoy him in like bit parts.
I think he's good. He's good in doses.
It's a little weird when he talks about kissing a 14-year-old girl.
Yeah.
A little weird.
Yeah, that.
I don't know why they needed to include that.
I don't know.
It doesn't really further the story. It just makes him look creepy.
Yeah. Also, I will add, and this is such a nitpick, so take this with a massive grain of salt. I was just looking at my notes, and this reminded me. There is one shot that's like 5 seconds long that I really did not like. And it's when Jeff Bridges is riding back with, I can't remember the character name, Rooster and Maddie. And it's like the POV of him on the horse, and it looks like they're like just moving around on a green screen.
Yeah, well, that whole sequence just looks like that because
but like
night shooting is not that clear.
Right, and every other shot I thought looked fantastic in that specific sequence.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the lighting and just like the very like dramatic backlighting, but just that one of again, like I said, it was a split second. This is such a nitpick, but it just looked like they were moving back and forth on a green screen, and I don't think that's actually how they filmed it. Maybe it is. Who knows? But that's just like I just want to throw it out. There was one quick shot that I disliked a lot, but everything else in this movie is beautiful.
I would say that's the most awkward shot comparatively to the rest of the film, except for when he cuts the dude's fingers off. That's awkward.
Yeah.
But,
oh God, that was.
It's like zoom, zoom.
Yeah,
that's
like
right.
that scene is brutal.
And I legit thought that he was gonna like, back when I saw this for the first time, like in the theaters, I thought that he was going to chop off Haley Steinfeld's hand, like when she got bit.
Was it?
Oh, when he pulls out okay.
Yeah.
Domhnall Gleeson was the one that got stabbed and his fingers chopped off, right? I'm trying to remember.
Who was?
Domhnall Gleeson.
Yeah.
He's the one that won't. He's trying to hold back saying something, and then he does, and that's why he gets it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's
I always love the scene where they're waiting up on the ridge, and then LaBeef shows up, and that's where he bites his tongue, right?
Yeah.
I always laughed at that part. It's like, everybody's like, "What's that idiot doing? He's gonna ruin the whole thing."
It's just the way the way that Jeff Bridges pronounces LaBeef, like he really just puts his whole heart and soul into it, and I love it.
That doesn't he? Yeah, the first time we meet him, she throws water on him, right, or something, and he wakes up and he's I was like, here we go.
No. The first time she meets him, he's in the outhouse.
Oh, that's right. She
was occupied.
I love Rooster. I love Jeff. He's so good at playing just this kind of character.
He plays. We were talking about it a while ago. There's that break where after the break, this is the only character he plays.
Yeah.
It's kind of because it's weird that because you were saying to you like, yeah, young Jeff Bridges is like a very loud, youthful, spirited, energetic actor. You watch like Last Picture Show or Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, and that's just he's the energy of it. And then it shifts, and like as you go into the 80s and into the 90s, it shifts more of that like more stoic leading man type. You know, I'm trying to think. I think it's Jagged Edge is a big one that comes to mind, something like that.
I haven't seen that, but yep.
I think he's in that as the main character. But the point is, and then at a certain point in the 2010s, not like this 2010, somewhere in there, now he's just the old gruff guy. And that's all because like Hell or High Water. It's a similar character.
Yeah, it is.
R.I.P.D.
Why R.I.P.D.?
Which
Why
is also
that the one you go for?
It's getting a sequel.
I know. How is this movie? Move away from the. How is it getting a sequel? I am baffled. I'm so bad.
Is it that? I have not even seen it. Is it that bad?
No, I've never seen it either. I don't know.
So why are you so upset?
Because I heard it's garbage and like stop.
Go watch it and then get your own opinion.
All right,
I'm just laughing because it looked bad to
should.
me, but I don't have an opinion because I didn't watch it.
It's got Kevin Bacon in it too.
Kevin Bacon, like what is this?
Now
movie?
I have to watch it.
Anyway, before we get too carried away, anything else you want to mention?
I was just gonna compare it to the. I'll let you finish on yours.
Oh, I also wanted to say that I love the music.
Yeah.
That
is it Carter Burwell? It usually is.
Yeah, the red edition of.
It is. Yep. It's usually Carter.
Is it Old Rugged Cross that it is?
I think that sounds right.
I'll be honest, I have no clue.
Why did I look at you?
It
I don't know why you looked at me.
It worked. They work it into every piece of that. It gives me chills.
It feels so perfectly rustic. Like that's it fits it so well. Oh man.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say and I mentioned this again before you started recording. On this rewatch, so quick behind the scenes, we pick our favorite movies and then we give it a rewatch. I enjoyed this the most out of all of ours. Even though I think mine
Picked
is
a different one, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot how dang good this is. Sorry,
travesty that this movie was nominated for 10 Academy
it
Awards
was.
and didn't win a single one.
Did it get nominated for Best Picture? I was trying to remember
so
that.
So what was this up against? Because I want to know why
2010?
Haley didn't win. Haley should have won. And I
She
really
lost to Melissa Leo for The Fighter.
I haven't seen that.
You should. There's a lot of swearing. That's all I remember. And then Christian Bale making funny faces when he pretends to get punched by Marky Mark. Blah!
What was that again?
Blah!
Is Hank Hill in here?
Whoa! Go down to Taco Bell, give me a ball.
List.
Yeah. King's Speech beat it for picture director and actor. And
2010 was a good year.
Yeah.
It lost adapted screenplay to The Social Network.
Oh, I mean,
that makes sense.
Yeah. Both sounds lost to Inception.
I mean,
Art direction to Alice in Wonderland.
It just came out in the wrong
Cinematography
year.
to Inception. Costume to Alice in
I
Wonderland.
disagree with cinematography.
Is that because there's more real stuff in this?
Yeah, it's not just because I'm a Deakins fanboy.
Because they're spinning in Inception.
It's not just because I'm a Deakins fanboy, which I am.
Folding.
But like
that's more special effects though.
That's it. I was about to say that. It feels more like special effect heavy, where I think the lighting and filming of True Grit is so much more. It takes talent, especially to do it.
It's a much more understated film.
Yes, and also just to light film is so hard. So the fact that they're doing that it's really a marvel. But we've talked a while about True Grit. So let's move on to next pick, Jared, which is again. Well, for Jared, this is the first time I've seen this movie.
Gotcha. So my pick, the title of the movie comes from a fake movie within the movie from the 40s movie Sullivan's Travels. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou? That's the movie, I believe, in that movie that Joe McCree's character is going to make. Huh. So that's their little nod to that. Because, you know, this takes place in the 30s, and then that movie came out in like 41 or 2 or something like that. Mm-hmm. So that's where the title comes from, if anyone wasn't sure.
I wish they would have called it the Soggy Bottom Boys.
I had forgotten that's what they were called. Do you want to go a little bit first before I jump into this?
I was just going to say, I remember back my freshman year of high school, which would have been, this was the second semester, so early 2010.
I was graduated from college at that point.
I was still in high school as well.
You weren't in high school in early 2010.
Maybe not early 2010.
No, late 2010 is when you started. Okay. No, this is like the semester before you started.
Okay.
I remember I missed a day of class for being sick, and when I came in the next day, they were like 30 minutes into this movie or something. So I picked up, probably after they recorded the song.
Okay.
Somewhere in there. So I have no idea what's going on. Because we were reading The Odyssey, which is what this is loosely based off of, which is hilarious because both Coen said they have never read it.
Are you serious? That makes it so much better.
They know all of the big key moments from media, just seeing it in other things, but they've never read it. At least when they made the movie. I don't know about now.
Jared,
but that's what's so funny.
You saying I can absolutely see that now. I can literally see, like, replaying it in my mind, like, oh, yeah, there's that big moment, there's that big moment, there's that big moment.
And you don't want to tell a direct thing, because the Odyssey is massive.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas they're in Mississippi the whole time. It's just them. He's trying to get from his chain gang home because his wife is remarrying to Vernon T. Walter. One of the most unique movies I've ever seen.
It really...
In look, in tone, in just how it plays out. The climax of the movie happens with like 25, 30 minutes left. We still have more to do. It just keeps going, but it doesn't ever feel its length to me.
No, that's what... And so, I really quick, I have to mention this. I had no clue. I legit had no clue what this movie was about, or the tone of it, or anything before I watched it. I didn't realize that it was an upbeat singing comedy. And I was like, well, that's interesting. Like, when I think of, like, Coen Brothers comedy, I think of, like, the dude. What the heck's the movie? The dude. Jeff Bridges. Oh, my God. Why am I blanking on this movie?
The Big Lebowski.
Big Lebowski, thank you. I think more of, like, stoner comedies like that. Like, not like you're singing... Like I was not ready for all the singing.
Oh, the soundtrack was huge.
Oh my God! Can Brad Pitt actually sing that well?
That's George Clooney.
That's what I meant.
Oh man,
that's what I meant.
Funny, they're both in a Coen Brothers movie, and I don't want to spoil that. Have either of you seen Burn After Reading?
No.
Yes.
You know part of it.
Yes.
That movie gets better every time I watch it.
I should watch that.
The first time I saw it, I was like, this is fine. And then the second time I watched it, I couldn't stop laughing.
Oh, boy.
Mainly because Brad Pitt acts like an idiot the whole movie.
That sounds pretty awesome.
And him and George Clooney's interaction in the movie is so funny.
Yes, thank you. I meant George Clooney. I did not mean Brad Pitt.
He is not actually singing.
Okay. That's what I thought. I'm like, is this some guy's voice really? I don't think he can sing that well.
Those
you
three
can
guys
tell it. It's not even really that. They didn't even. It looks like they didn't even try to make it line up. Like if you really watch it, it's like, he's not.
That's just kind of the tongue-in-cheek aspect of it.
Yeah. Like once they start the music, like they actually start singing. Like I feel like if they wanted to make it more realistic, they would have added like more background nats or like more background soundscape, and it was just songs. That's why it was very easy just to like I was gonna play it over.
So this is the second time I've watched this movie. I haven't watched it in literally 20 years. I watched it in 2002. I was a junior. And I think a big part of the reason I didn't like it the first time I watched it, and I think a big part of the reason was one, my friends I think sold it to me to be more of a Big Lebowski type comedy thing, and my 16-year-old teenage brain didn't like that it wasn't what they sold it to me to be.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That it is a very, very different tone than the Lebowski.
Also, I didn't know that it was a take on the Odyssey, which now that you say that, it makes a lot more sense.
I feel like we really should have watched this instead of like. What did they make us watch in high school?
Probably the actual Odyssey, but the bad one.
Yeah,
that's what they made us watch.
We should have watched this instead.
Are you talking that miniseries with Armando Santi?
I don't know if it was a miniseries or what. It was a long time. Like we're talking about, like this was like 10th grade, so this was like.
Oh, don't cut.
10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Okay, I know. Listen, Mr. Ancient. I realize that.
Listen, when Moses walked out of Egypt, I was like, "What are we gonna do next?"
Oh, is my face red? I did finish this movie, like as I was saying, in 10th grade. Missed like the first half hour, and I went back and watched it. I think I bought it like that year and watched it with my friend, and we were laughing and dying. And then at the end, it was like, let's watch it again. So we did. It's one of the few movies I've watched right after finishing it. Another one that I chose to watch it again was How to Eat Fried Worms.
I forgot about that movie.
We watched it 3 times.
God.
Three times.
My God.
We just kept watching it.
I did that with 50-50.
Amazing.
So
Oh, that's another one. I feel like I can see that. But you're right. Like this does give me that vibe. Like you can just turn back on because it's a breeze. Like
and it's not. It's like 100 and some minutes.
None of these.
Not that long.
None of our picks are even that long.
No,
I mean mine's.
They're all short of 2 hours.
Yeah.
No, mine's longer than his.
No,
it's not.
True Grit's 110 minutes. His is 122.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure mine's longer.
Oh, Brother's like 107 or something. I just saw.
Because I
107. I got it.
Also, pacing wise, mine just feels like a long movie.
That's true.
This is, Oh Brother, right though. One of the reasons it's one of my favorite movies of all time is it's one of the most quotable things ever.
Everything in Del
There's
Mar.
so much. It's not even a joke. It's just funny. Like I wrote down a whole list. I'm not going to read all of them, but just I love there's a couple jokes where it's just repeating the same things. Like when they're at the bar in the beginning, they wake up and goes, "Damn, we're in a tight spot," and he just keeps saying it. And every time he says it, I laugh harder. And the other one is, "Go forever."
I was about to say it. You want to go?
He just keeps asking, "Go for."
And I'm not gonna.
That's what I was gonna say. It's funny that you say you and your friend were like laughing out loud. Like for me watching it, like this is funny, but I'm not like dying laughing.
This time or just 20 years ago?
Definitely not 20 years ago.
Okay, so this time you're recognizing it, but you're not laughing. Oh, this movie kills me.
And so I'm somewhere in between. Like I'm laughing at pretty much all these jokes, but I'm just like. Right, I laugh in my head a lot. Maybe I should see a doctor about that.
No, I think that's what I do because some of my friends that I watch comedies with, they're like, "You didn't laugh at all. You didn't even like react." No, that's pretty funny.
So yeah.
I remember you saying like, unless it like really tickles your fancy, you're just kind of vibing, as the kids say.
I don't think I said that, but yes.
That way you don't miss any of the jokes. Because like I like stuff like this, like where it has those fast-paced joke moments. Like I will miss the second half of all these jokes because I'm too busy laughing.
Which is why it's rewatchable.
Then
you know what's coming.
Which is why he's gonna struggle watching Hot Shots.
Oh my god!
That's 82 minutes. You're gonna have to keep back. It's gonna take you 3 hours to watch it.
It's gonna be so bad. I know.
So. Go ahead. I did have a question about that. Well, first I want to say something about the music. The music's fantastic, obviously.
My God.
I didn't realize that the soundtrack is maybe as big as what I think it is. But my wife, who has never seen this movie, I don't know if it's because the soundtrack was this big, but she literally was able to sing every single song.
Well, none of them are original for the movie. They're all original recordings or covers of like old-timey songs.
I did not know that. That's very interesting.
And again, it's this, and then this made them even more popular. The soundtrack became bigger than the movie because it won Album of the Year at the Grammys.
Oh wow!
It spawned, I think, 2 sequel albums of sorts of that kind of music and like a tour or something. Like, it's huge.
When did this come out again?
2000.
Okay.
Like it was a big deal because it overshadowed the movie.
And then
I realized that's
the question I had, and this is just because I don't know. How do I say this? Is this considered George Clooney's like big break movie
breakout?
It's got to be close because I mean he was Batman before that, but not much.
Yeah.
Not much before that, and I wouldn't call that a breakout.
3 years.
But
this is kind of what I think established him as like
a more serious,
big name,
and more serious. Like you said, he did get a Globe nomination for this. He is so funny in this.
He's so good.
What is it? I'm a dab man.
To be fair, I legit feel like
a dapper tan.
Boy Smithies, or if not Smithies per se, were you otherwise trained in the metallurgic arts before strange circumstances forced you into a life of aimless wandering?
See,
yes, I had to read that.
We laugh about it, but I kind of relate to the way he words things.
It's so
ain't this place a geographical oddity? 2 weeks from everywhere. And every time he wakes up, it's my hair.
I know he's always going for this. Okay, him with the pomade. Oh my god, it's so good.
I like the smell of my pomade. Half of it. Baptism. You two are dumber than a bag of hammers.
Oh my dude, that baptism scene, I was laughing so hard. He just starts booking it
All
over
my
there.
sins is washed away. Even that Piggly Wiggly I knocked over. I thought you said you was innocent of those charges. I lied. And that's washed away too. And then Pete throws the hats at him and runs into the water.
And then they thought it turned Pete into a toad, everything.
That whole scene where well, first it starts with them like, my hair, and they look at and they're like, Pete, where are you? Dear Lord, they left his heart, and it's beaten, and the toad, and he just. Delmer was gotten you. Can't you see it? Them sirens did this to Pete. They loved him up and turned him into a hornet toad. And he's jumping in the water. Pete, it's me, Delmar. And then when they're in the restaurant, before that, they're in the car, and he's like, I gotta find.
Did you write that?
I wrote it. It's like, he's like, I don't think that's Pete. Of course it's Pete. Look at him. He turns and goes, we gotta find some kind of wizard to change him back. and then they put him in the shoebox. It's like, I don't want him to think we's ashamed of him. Well, if it is Pete, I am ashamed of him.
I legit feel like Tim Blake Nelson, and then when he was actually in the scenes, John Turturro, even George Clooney, they're all just fighting for who can be the most ridiculous and over the top.
Leader of this outfit. And he says something about some kind of the capacity for abstract thought. He goes, well, I'm voting for yours truly. I'm voting for yours truly too. And they look at Delmar. All right, I'm with you, fellas. So we're just gonna start quote.
I know
that's exactly what I said.
To quote it.
I do want to say, how does John Goodman steal the show?
My God.
in every movie he shows up in?
He was in this, amazing. And I was waiting for him. Where I know he's in this. I know he's in this,
and he's the Cyclops. In this, then because.
Oh my God! I never put that together. I'm such an idiot. Thank you.
Thank you, boys, for throwing in that fricassee. I'm a man of large appetite, and even with lunch in my belt, I was feeling a mite peckish. I'm just like, what in the world? When he starts beating them up with the stick, and he hits Delmar, and Everett just stares at him. He's like, I don't get it, Big Dan. Oh! I know. Hits him, and he spits all that corn out. My friend and I thought that was the funniest part of the movie, when he's just laying there going,
it's just like, oh my God, what the heck?
Well, just caught me on the damn toad. Really think give you warts?
Dude, when he
throws it, and the thud on the tree kills me. The squishing grosses me up, but then when he throws it, it's just.
I was not ready for. I was not prepared for him to squish the toad. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, the line. That the back and forth that I have never laughed at before, but laughed at this time, was when Pappy O'Daniel and his son and the two other guys are sitting in the restaurant, and his son goes, well, people like that reform. Maybe we should get us some. I'll film you soft-headed son of a bitch. How they couldn't run reform with the damn incumbent.
You're right. That was really funny.
He's right. Charles
I was laughing
so
at that
funny.
line a lot. That was good.
Oh.
Well, especially after. Oh God, just gonna keep going down that. Well, at the end, where I can't remember the character's name. The other guy that was running for governor or mayor or whatever. When he was
governor.
It was governor.
You talk about Homer Stokes.
Yeah, when he was like, "Oh, these guys are at the burn and they messed that all up."
Of a certain secret society, I go, dude.
I'm like, oh, buddy.
That scene,
oh no, buddy.
That scene is so uncomfortable.
I question now if it needed to be included.
But it's also,
I can see that. That makes.
It's also goofy. What they're doing is goofy. It's the whole argument. It's making it silly.
Yeah. Is it something that should be made silly? I get the counter argument of you're taking away the power from it if you make it silly, but it just
sometimes you have to joke about things though,
and they did make the chanting, because I remember when they were chanting, I go that reminds me of Wizard of Oz, and then I read, oh yeah, that's what they're going for.
Jared, I was thinking the same exact thing. That's legit
all
what they were going
is,
for.
Oh, we own.
I know, that's what I kept thinking.
I hear.
Oh my God,
that's the Wizard of Oz chant. Yeah. And I'm like, that sounds like the Wizard of Oz.
That's so funny. That's what they were going for. Oh my God. Okay, anything else before we move on to my pick?
Just trying to see if there's anything else
I want. Get all your happy out now.
and all your enjoyment.
It is not going to be there for Dickey's pick.
It's not happy hour in a couple
It is
minutes.
not going to be there for Dickey's pick.
Yeah. I'll just wrap it up with, it's one of the most unique things out there. It's got its own feel. Nothing else feels or looks like this. I wasn't ready
for this tone. Like, it's just, it balances.
Nothing has been like it since.
Goofy, sappy, and very like George Clooney talks. Like,
great soundtrack too.
Yeah, I just
everything really is so good.
I want to mention this, and I think this is a good callback to some older episodes if you haven't watched our Doctor Who episodes yet. This feels kind of like Stephen Moffat, like that very like eccentric writing, like the clever wordplay, but this is done better. Because Moffat I think
he's not as clever as he thinks he is.
Well, I think he takes his writing too seriously, and I think in this, the Coen brothers, they didn't this this obviously is not a serious movie. Like they use that eccentric, very wordy writing to point out the character flaws in George Clooney's character, and I think that's why it works better in this movie than Moffat's later stuff that didn't work that well. I just put that connection in my mind together. I'm happy about that. But, all right.
We're proud of you, bud.
Thank you. My mind's working again. Yay.
Again.
It stopped working for a while. But you know what it really works for? Watching my pick. And look at that transition. Because mine, you need your brain to work. Because it's ooh, doggy. Obviously, not obviously. My pick is No Country for Old Men. This, I have to say, one of the biggest reason that I picked this movie is because this was one of my formative years watching movies. Like, this is one of those first movies you watch where you realize that, like, okay, I want to try to do this for a living. Like, I want to make something like this. And for me, it was just every shot was just, I can't imagine a more pretty and perfectly filmed movie. Like, all the wide shots I loved, everything that's covered in shadows. Just it comes down just like the way it's shot in the lighting. Roger Deakins I'm a shill for Deakins. I will love everything that man does. And this is pretty much the main reason. Like, I just look at the beginning where he stumbles on the cars and just the way that it felt so down to earth and scary, and at the same time is so exciting and bring you in to the adventure. Like, that's the stuff that just really got me going.
Adventure is a weird word to use for this movie.
It absolutely is. Adventure. It's maybe not the right word I want to use, but yeah. I was just getting into it. The shots are what.
As if this friend is watching, I know he knows who he is. Fun for us is watching a good movie. That doesn't mean the movie itself is fun.
That's
so
fair.
I have to say, like, I had fun because I watched a good movie, a great movie. That doesn't mean the movie itself is a lighthearted romp.
It is quite the opposite.
Oh my goodness!
But I made a note that I want to mention that I'm positive I've heard this somewhere. I cannot take 1,000% credit because I feel like I've seen this analysis somewhere on YouTube or a podcast or whatever. So actual credit to them, but the way that they write dialogue in this, and it's kind of in all their movies as well, I feel like they skip the part where the two characters meet and they just jump right into all the important stuff. Like,
what do you mean the two characters meet?
Like, I feel like the way the dialogue in this like feels to me is like you don't hear the beginning of the conversation, but you just hear the middle and the important parts. And then you don't hear the end, and then immediately cuts to like a different conversation or a different scene or whatever. And it's making you make those connections and not specifically telling you. Like,
do you have a specific example? I just watched it and I'm trying to think.
So like, for me, I was thinking of like, especially going with where Woody Harrelson was immediately brought into the movie, like without any warning. Like, and without any warning, it's all of a sudden you just see this rich man walking, and they just jump into that, and then they just.
The first scene you see.
Well, he's going up in an elevator. I guess not. Yeah, the first Woody Harrelson scene's in the elevator.
He walks in, and they say hi, and he says he like talk about.
They don't really introduce who he is, if that's what you're saying.
I guess that's kind of the more.
You make it sound like we jump into the middle of a conversation and then leave before it's done. I don't. I think they're not spoon feeding us exposition.
That's what I was like. Well,
showing us.
Yeah, I mean,
and not telling
show,
us.
Don't tell. Who hasn't heard that before? That hasn't.
Oh,
yeah, but that's
but they
what
didn't
I was
show us Woody
to.
get murked. Yeah. Oh, that just. There's something about that moment when Shiger shoots him, and it's like the electrical pulse of it, and then the way Woody grunts or
just that sound effects.
I don't like that, and that's the point.
Yeah, well, I like that. That's how they showed him at the very, very end of the movie, where they show him walking out in just his shoes. Like that's such a clever way to show that he killed her without,
Yeah, he's checking, right?
Yeah. Like I love the way that this doesn't tell you everything.
Oh, that bone sticking.
Oh my God, the bone! That gave me that physically made me feel ill.
I like what you're saying. I do like the way the specific moment that I'm thinking of is the way that Josh Brolin's character Llewellyn, you don't see him die. You don't see the thing that killed him.
Which
He's
is
just
so weird for your main character.
See, that's the thing. You watch through that whole movie, you get to that scene and you realize the movie's about Tommy Lee Jones. It's not about the other two.
Well,
it is.
It's about.
He's the one who opens the movie with that monologue. He's the one who ends it with a short, tiny little monologue.
It's true. I still think the movie is like Anton Chigurh and Llewellyn. Like they both have it's about their struggles, but at the end, it is Tommy Lee is the main character.
That's the part of the movie that's still the one thing that bugs me about this movie. And I don't know why is that fade to black when he's talking to the lady at the pool, because years ago I brought it up with a friend.
Oh, you mean when he first gets there?
He gets to the hotel in El Paso, and it's El Paso, right?
Yeah. Are you talking about Llewellyn or Tommy Lee?
Llewellyn. And he's talking to the woman at the pool, saying, "No, I'm waiting."
And it's just a random fade to black.
It's a random fade to black, and I don't want to just linger on that, but I remember years ago when talking about that was one big thing that bugged me and a friend of mine, and we talked about it, and I don't remember.
It's probably just because they didn't have a good way to cut.
Yeah, and then now it's this time, I know it's coming. Let's see how this works. I'm not going to think about it until we get there. Okay. And then when it fades out, it's just such a weird transition.
Yeah. It's a very strange, this whole,
I don't understand how it fits in with the rest. I'm not trying to linger on one transition, but
it probably isn't supposed to, and it probably just, we don't have a better way to get out of this. So
but that's just the one thing that bugs me about the movie.
I think it's supposed to make you feel weird though.
When we edit the when we edit the videos that we make, that's how I do it. Sometimes I don't have a way to get out of this that looks good. fade, and put
it together. You wonder if they're in the editing booth and they did a hard cut to the next thing and it just felt wonky. Mm-hmm. So then the fade to black makes it better, but it still is such a weird choice because there's no other fade to blacks in the whole movie.
But
and it's such deliberate editing too, because most things are just hard cuts.
But it has to be that because that's where the big turn of the movie is.
Unless it's
at least
showing a passage of time, versus the other cuts. I don't know.
No,
that's the thing.
That's
why didn't we cross cut to something else instead?
It didn't bug me that much.
I was like,
it was kind of weird.
Such a weird thing.
It's kind of for me, it's kind of like in Dunkirk when your perspective shifts on the plane and you're looking down at it, going by all the houses when Tom Hardy's landing, and it's just so weird that you're I don't like this because it's different. I don't know. I don't know if I had a point in that, but
no, that's fair.
And it's just such a weird spot of this movie of No Country for Old Men because it's everything else has been whenever something is about to happen, we don't do that. and I get this is the big ending of a character, and I don't need to see what happens. That whole thing where Tommy Lee gets there too late is great.
Oh,
I don't understand the fade to black though. It's such a again.
Like
I don't know. Maybe if Joel and Ethan were sitting right there in Jake's spot on his lap, they were telling us why they did that.
Hey, Joel and Ethan.
I'm just curious why it just threw me off again.
Maybe that's wise because it's the big end of the character, and it's like
that's what I was going to say. That's why I legit think
that's his end.
It's such an important moment in this. I mean, there's obviously other important moments, but I feel like that is like where you obviously lose a character. Like the whole theme and tone, or maybe not tone, but like the whole like what you think this story is about changes, and so they need something drastic to show that, and that's where I think they did that. Also, obviously, Joel and Ethan are listening to this podcast. I mean, why wouldn't they?
Maybe they could.
So, Jake's lap is available.
So, Joel and Ethan, just curious. I mean, you want to tell us what you were thinking? You want to give us an explanation? Because I would love to know. But that's what I just go ahead.
I did want to ask that too. Javier Bardem and Josh Brolin, was this their big break movie too?
I think this is Javier Bardem's.
What was Josh Brolin's?
He's kind of always around. That thing. I don't know if it was a big break because he's just. I mean,
because
he's been around since the 80s.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He's been popular before this.
Right? I was looking at his filmography, and this is not to say if I have seen it, it's a big break.
Right.
But I did not recognize a single thing before this.
Not even the Goonies?
Yeah, Brolin. Yeah,
you've never seen the Goonies? Have you heard of it? So you've heard of it?
I feel like Brolin's. I mean, a lot of people had big breakout. That's hard to say in the Goonies. So yeah, it's tricky for Brolin, but I think.
And does it really count if it's a child movie?
I mean, it puts her name out there.
I guess.
But for Javier Bardem, I feel like this.
I feel like this was the first movie that I saw him in it. Both of them actually, and then I saw him in everything after that.
Oh yeah, which I mean that he does like he is so chilling.
The only thing that the only thing I recognized Javier Bardem in before this was Collateral.
Yeah,
and I'm sure that was his big break.
I'm looking around, see if I missed anything.
I'm sure that was definitely.
He'd been in stuff before that.
Javier Bardem?
Yeah. And, I mean, before this, like, he won for this movie, and he had been nominated before this movie.
Literally about to ask was...
What was he nominated for before this movie?
Before Night Falls. I've never seen it.
I've never seen
that. Because, yeah, I feel like this is just, like... especially when you get to play a villain, like, on this caliber, like, it's a lot to chew on, and you can make
the most you've ever lost in a coin toss?
So maybe it's a similar sort of thing to George Clooney, where it wasn't their big break, but it's where their name became kind of household.
Yeah, I absolutely could see that.
I think another point I had for this movie is just that how similar it feels to movies like There Will Be Blood. I wonder if that late kind of 2000s has that style movie to it.
I feel this was based off a book.
Yep. So There Will Be Blood.
It was also based
kinda.
It technically, yes, for There Will Be Blood. It's based off Oil by Upton Sinclair, but it's like the loosest thing.
It's a very loose.
Yes.
Yeah, because I feel like like you mentioned, like this feels like I don't know, probably books written in like the 50s or 60s that people adapted very later down the road. Maybe not the 50s,
what is
60s.
No Country?
Yeah.
Well, I think when did the book come out?
It's
Cormac McCarthy, right?
Not a clue.
Are you looking at me like I would know?
I don't know. Am I?
But Jake, it does have that. Like I feel like that was just like a thing.
Cormac McCarthy. The novel came out in 2005.
Well, and besides that,
I was dead ass wrong then. Never mind.
But besides that, like a movie can have a feel and be about have a specific feel and be from a book and not have at all the same feeling of a book. Cites Life of Pi.
Valid point.
That's funny because I love that movie and I love that book, just for very different reasons.
We all know when the movie took place, right? Because I've had a history of certain movies. I didn't realize what time period it was until like the end of the movie. This one I knew the whole time.
I feel like this
was it. I don't know. I was trying to think of it. Was it like the early 70s or something?
I was going to say
it's
70s.
1980 because in the coin flip scene,
You're
Oh,
right.
he says
You're
the year.
right.
That's
Right.
right.
this quarter is 1958. It took 22 years to get here. And there's probably other clues, but that's the big one. It's like, okay, this takes place.
That's
in
right.
I remember that. I remember that scene, and I forgot.
I
what
didn't
year.
even think
Yeah.
about it.
That's what I love. We said it before. I'll say it again. The fact that there is so much detail, but not at the same time.
it captures the 80s perfectly. Everything's brown.
Also, I don't know if I'd call it a hint or a detail, but when Tommy Lee Jones is describing how they kill cattle,
Yeah,
Oh.
I am. That's
He like turned to grab a shotgun and they just gunned him down, right? Isn't that what he said? On his front porch.
Yeah, like it.
And he's trying to make the point that it's always been violent in this area. It's just that there's so many perspectives in the movie.
There's
within
so
the
many-
movie.
that's
there's
like-
so much to dissect about
There,
this.
like you could take so many drastic different meanings, and I just think that's such a cool thing that because like making something like as existential or introspective, like it's a little bit of both. Like when you try to do that kind of a tone, like I feel like that's really hard to pull off. Like a lot of movies try to do that and they don't. Work.
I am of the mind that this is about Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, I agree.
It's fascinating that they were able to make a movie about a character that has 15 minutes of screen time, like not that much comparatively.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because we follow the other two main characters a lot more.
Yes,
But they
I think
paint the
it's-
picture for what he's talking about.
Yep.
And the other thing I was going to ask you guys is, do you think that this is, now you have my pick, which is True Grit, which is obviously like a Western.
Mhm.
Would you call this a modern day Western?
This is a Western,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. it
Okay.
is.
I got that feel from it
think
and I didn't.
True Grit is made to look and feel more like the old classic, like 50s and 60s westerns. This feels like a modern take on westerns. And again, it's just if
It's considered a neo-Western.
neo-western, yeah. Like I can't explain to you why my mind works this way, but like again, just going
Dickey,
back.
we have never expected that from you.
But again, just going back to the way that this was shot, I'm a big cinematography geek. That's why I keep going back to that stuff. But it feels like it was simultaneously shot from the hip and incredibly well thought out. And I think that's just a talent.
I noticed that too. It's like, man, because, early 2000s filmmaking, there's a lot of hand cam and that more naturalistic docudrama approach.
Yeah.
And for this, it's like I have that feeling, but it also feels very well staged
Exactly. Like it's
and
just
framed, and it's like
how
it's kind
they
of
struck that is
it's incredible balance
it's a
between the two.
Masterclass.
It felt realistic, but it also looked great because I don't remember too many parts, if any, that were too shaky hand cam. I don't think there were much at all.
Mm-mm. And
I guess rustic is a good
rustic.
word.
That's a very good word to use. And again, I'll say it again. This is the movie that made me want to go out and make movies myself and take pictures because I love wide shots. I love everything like with the sun setting, with the deep backgrounds. Like, come on, man. This is one of the most beautiful movies ever made. This is easily in my top 5
I liked
best shots.
I liked it. I've seen it 3 times now. I liked it way more than I did the first time. A lot more than I did the second time.
Mhm.
Oh, but I do want to, just because we've been gushing over it forever, I do want to bring up my main problem with it.
Go
And it's
for it.
not even really a problem. The pacing of it
It's slow.
makes it feel like a 4-hour movie.
It's so slow.
Maybe not a 4-hour movie, but it
I
feels so much longer than it is.
Yeah, so really quick. I know we just mentioned, I don't know if we were on camera or not. How long was this? How many minutes?
122.
Yeah, this feels like almost 3 hours. It's not, but it feels like it's almost 3 hours long. It just
It has the simultaneous feeling of a lot happens and yet not a lot happens.
right.
Because for how much of the movie is him chasing after Anton chasing after Llewellyn?
Mhm.
It's only a couple stops.
I know, that's the
It
thing.
really
It
isn't.
feels like...
But because it's very deliberate in its pacing, and it lets the moment kind of like sink in for all of it. Because it's not like you just, like how many movies someone gets shot and they just kind of brush it off, clean it up real quick. That whole sequence of Anton cleaning up that leg wound is great.
Oh,
except
my God.
when he has to give himself shots, I have to look away.
Oh,
That's the thing that gets you?
Mm-hmm.
The shots don't bother me.
I don't know what
that
it's like
much.
to be shot. I know what it's like to get pricked with a needle.
The pulling the it's a shotgun, so it's what's it called? The buckshot out is what gets me.
Oh yeah, that was
That was just... It's
also just that terrifying notion of that.
That took a big chunk out of his leg too.
What's the?
It's a cattle thing.
Thank you, prod, right?
No,
not prod. What is it called?
I don't know what it's called, but
It's where it shoots the thing into your brain.
Yeah.
That's something I kept saying the whole movie is that poor guy.
It's just...
Because the guy at the beginning is just driving his car, thinks the cops are pulling over, and he's just dead. And then the guy in the truck, when Llewellyn's trying to get away, just gets shot the second he starts talking. It's like, that poor guy. The deputy at the beginning who gets strangled.
Dude, that scene where, like, how does Javier Bardem make that face?
A way to set your tone, Coen, bro.
Like that, like the face, like where, like, I can try to replicate it for those that are watching on camera, but I couldn't meet the amount of disturbance. I'm just saying, like, his gaze, like Javier Bardem's like eyes, like, it's
like right into the camera too.
Oh my God!
It's funny to think about this and then think about the movie that he was in last year.
Wow, drastically different
Being
movies.
the Ricardos.
Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking about.
That's it. Someone should do a cut of No Country for Men where instead it's Javier Bardem's Desi Arnaz.
I'm not.
Just he walks in on the Mexican guys in the hotel. Lucy, I'm home.
Someone out there is good at editing that kind of stuff together.
Yeah.
Please make that a
everything
thing.
in that little hotel where he like puts the thing in the air duct is great.
Oh my God!
What a plan!
I know.
That's what I love is how thought out. Like, he's not a dumb dude, which I like. I like that he's smart and he.
How did I
knows what he's doing.
I said it out loud to myself during. It's like he's not untouchable and invincible. Like he doesn't know how to do everything, but he's also not stupid.
Right.
But he did make a really stupid decision to take the money in the first place. But he's just in over his head.
Well, and that's
also who's first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
That was the thing that I remember the first time I watched it. So back in like 2008 or 2009. That was one of the things that annoyed me. I was like, why not just give him the damn money? And watching it this time, I'm like, oh, it's because he knows they're going to kill him regardless. Why give them the satisfaction? Why not just try to take this somewhere?
Well,
he could have saved his wife.
That's what I was also going to bring up is, I am sorry. Why in God's name are you going to carry around the exact briefcase that you took the money with? Obviously, okay, not obviously it was trash.
There's probably
but I mean, like, how does that, like, again, he seems like a smart enough guy. He seems like someone that would not overlook that, but...
He seems like it, but he's also incredibly blue collar.
Yes, that is fair.
And that might be the point, is that he's learning this kind of as he goes.
That is a very good point, because you're right. And Jared mentioned it. He was in over his head. Like,
everyone keeps telling him that.
He should not have...
Everyone says it the whole movie. It's like, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. You've never dealt with these people. You have no idea. They're going to kill you.
Yeah.
One thing, you guys will have to clear this. I don't remember. I just watched it yesterday. And I don't remember.
Dude, I just watched it 2 days ago, and it's still rough for me.
When he throws the suitcase over the bridge, and it goes down into the trees. Mm-hmm. How is it hanging in the trees? Is that
those
how?
Are trees.
It was just like
brush.
Oh, it's brush.
Yeah, it's riverside brush.
Even at that, okay. So is it hanging in the? Is that how?
Woody sees it.
Yeah.
No,
it's just out in the open.
Yeah, it was just
no one's looking for it.
Okay.
You wouldn't see it if you weren't looking for it. I think his whole thing is, I'm going to stash it there.
It's interesting. I mean,
again, blue collar. He's shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bleeding out. And he's just got to ditch it real quick.
Yeah, I guess an easy way to do
I'll
it.
give you $500 for your jacket. And give me the beer.
And give
Well,
me-
how much for the beer?
Dude, just give him the beer.
That's like the one real moment of levity in that movie.
It really is. There's not a lot, but like that's like, yeah, it was good timing for jokes. But I know we've gone on for a long time. Is there anything else we want to mention before we head out?
No.
All right. Thank you everybody for listening to today's episode. Thank you for taking an hour of your time to spend with us chatting about Coen Brother movies. And if you love what you've heard here, I'm sure you want to know what we have coming up next. Jared, where can they find us to find out these awesome things?
Ah, yes. You see, it's funny how like True Grit has some parts that are funny, but most of the movie isn't really that funny. No Country for Old Men has no humor, and then Oh Brother Where Art Thou is mostly all humor.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah. So if you want the latter, go to our TikTok.
We will be running No Country for Old Men memes.
I will take that challenge. I will try to make a meme out of No Country, and it's going to work.
Oh boy. If you cut Desi Arnett into No Country for Old Men, Dickey, my hat will be off to you.
I want to try my hardest.
You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can listen to us on Google and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and if it's YouTube, hey, like, subscribe, ring our bell.
Absolutely. And don't forget, rate us and all this stuff. Give us good numbers. We like the good numbers. We like to look like we're doing good. So thank you so much, everybody, for listening to today's episode. Stay tuned for more awesome content coming out your way soon. So from all of us here at Slate Media, thank you so much for listening. We will see everybody next time.
We thought you was